Are you looking to connect to yourself on the inside so that you can really start to connect to other people in your life and connect to the rest of the world? Well, you are in luck because in today's episode, I interview my amazing friend Carlo, who is going to take us through so many different things, but the main thing that he's going to be taking us through is how to connect within yourself so that you can start to live as the best version of you possible and connect to other people and the rest of the world. And this is seriously one of my favorite interviews I have ever done. So you really need to make sure you stay to the end because Carlo gives so much value. He gives us a step-by-step process and structures right at the very end of the episode as to how we can start to implement things in our lives to connect to ourselves and connect to the rest of the world. So make sure to stay till the very end of the episode. But just quickly, before we dive in, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell so that you get weekly notifications as to when I put out new videos. They're going to be absolutely everything to do with mindset, personal development, a little bit about business, just basically how to become the best version of you possible. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell. Okay, now let's dive into the episode. Okay guys, welcome back to another episode of the Millennial Business Podcast. I am so excited to be joined today by my amazing friend Carlo. I've been listening to his podcast and stalking him on Insta ever since I met him out in Bali. Carlo, thank you so much for joining me on the episode.
You're so welcome. I'm vibing this energy right now. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. I would love to jump back to why did you have 30 jobs? I'm just curious.
I think I just like trying things. I liked to test things. And if I didn't like it, which obviously I didn't like a lot of things, I would jump to the next thing. A lot of it was moving house and location that kind of played its part. You know, there's so many different industries. I was like, I like music. I'll become a DJ. And then I was like, oh, I actually like doing that. I'll run the nights at the club. And then, you know, sometimes I was just in positions where it was like, I just need a job and I was working in warehouses or I was back home. Mildura, my longest job was 6 years in between other jobs and stuff like that, where I was a graphic designer, never studied it, just fell into it. And it was like, cool, awesome. But I never got fired. I just either did a few shifts and went, this isn't for me. Yeah. Or I was like, okay, cool. Learn my lesson, go to the next one.
I love that. And I love the point of like, okay, I did a few shifts and I realized this isn't for me. Because so many people, they get a job and then they realize that they don't like it, but then they stay there and they don't do anything about it. And I know one thing that you really wanted to touch on today was actually taking action. Because so many people get stuck in, like you with soccer, you got stuck in the habit. Like that was just, it was your normal and that's all you knew at the time. And so you just stayed in soccer until one day you finally realized, actually, I don't like doing this anymore. Like I want to do something different that's not soccer. What advice would you have to people, or would you give to people rather, who maybe have realized that they don't like what they're doing, but they're too scared to take the action to actually get themselves out of that situation?
Like I said before, like I think life is way too short to not like who we are or like the life that we're living, and that includes your work. I think if you're in a spot where you don't like what you're doing, it would be start asking yourself these questions. What would I rather be doing? What is my ideal work? What do I feel when I'm doing this work? Not so much, look, I'm painting a wall or whatever. Start to mix the things that you love doing and what you're really good at. Start looking for other things. If you stay in the same thing, it's like being stagnant. If you don't move, if I want to get fit, but I don't start moving, how do I expect to get fit? I think everyone got caught up in the law of attraction where I just think it and it happens. No, we know that there's a whole sequence to that. If I want to start a business or get a new job, I have to start looking and trying. Like no one can push you to do it. You have to go, is the pain of trying something new and getting uncomfortable greater than me sitting where I am and staying in the same stagnant spot, unhappy, unfulfilled? Which one's greater? And when it's the pain of staying in the same spot is greater, then you'll move. So start getting out there. We always go, it's uncomfortable. What if I don't like it? What if you do like it? What if it's amazing? Or what if you do it for 3 weeks, you meet someone else that then introduces you to someone or offers you another job? It's literally like you are not a tree, you can move. If you're doing something you don't like, either find ways to enjoy it or find purpose in it, or find something else and then start taking action on it. I think I was just never afraid to try something new. And if it didn't work, I just wouldn't do it. I'd do something else.
Yeah, I love that. And I think what people don't really remember is like, if you try something and it doesn't work, you can always go back to the other place, because like I'm sure they'll take you, or like I'm sure you would be able to find a very similar job, or if worse comes to worse, you can't find a job for a few weeks, like move back in with your parents for a little while until you can find a job, and
Done
then
that a
move
few
back out.
times. Yeah.
Like, it's not necessarily a bad thing to, but I think people, especially these days, get so caught up about asking for help. Like I know I do it. I hate asking for help because I'm like, I'm an independent woman. I don't need help from anyone. But then sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I need someone to help me, please. So like people just need to realize that like it's okay to try something and not like it and then go back, or like just ask for help. I think that's an important thing that people need to remember as well.
Yeah, I think there's that, and then there's on top of that, it's, I'm going through a program right now, the first time ever teaching this sort of stuff of the outer work of actually starting a business or doing something you love. Is what is your heart really calling for you? You've always wanted to do. Maybe it's I've always wanted to be a teacher, or maybe it's I always wanted to work with plants or with the environment or teaching kids about the environment, stuff like that. It's look at that, and then in terms of business, they call it a MVP, minimal viable product. Put it out there and test it, see if the market actually wants it and needs it. Because I can use what I have and what I love, but if other people don't want it or need it, then it's kind of hard. But there's a way where you can find what you love and test it and put it out there, because you find the pain points. If you're sharing something you love, I'm sure there's 100 people that love that or more that love that as well. It's just got to finding a way to do it. And I think if you're in a spot where you don't like what you're doing and you want to try something and you're like, oh, but it has to be a business, it has to make me money, do it for free. Do it for 3-4 weeks. Like, for example, just throwing it out there, I did coaching. I had like pre bono clients. I was like, I want to try this. And I figured out that one-on-one, I don't like it. Like, it's just not my thing. I didn't like people messaging me every day. I'm just like, man, these guys don't take action. I'm telling them what to do. But I loved the group mentoring environment. And I was like, oh, so it's not this way I'm doing it. Maybe I need to shift it and pivot a little bit. And I tried so many different things in there. Obviously, there's the mindset and the beliefs that come into that. But it was put something out there. Maybe it's an Instagram page. Just do something and see if you actually like it. Because if you drop everything and move into something, I get it. There's also benefits in that, but there's also massive risks.
For sure. No, I love that, because I did a very similar thing when I decided I wanted to start coaching as well. I just made a video and put on my Instagram and then said, like, I'm taking clients. They're going to be like ridiculously cheap compared to in the future. So if you'd be interested in potentially being sort of one of the first few people that I coach, please reach out to me. And I had 3 people reach out. I only charged them $50 per session. But the results that they got and the feedback that they gave was absolutely phenomenal. Like, literally, one of the girls said she felt like she learned more working with me for 3 months than she did in her whole schooling career. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But it was just like, I just needed to get sort of that social proof that what I was teaching and the things that I wanted to share with the world would actually get results. I love that, of like sort of putting the feelers out as to what you want to do. And it doesn't have to be like a big crazy, you don't have to start a new business. Like you said, like I just did one post on Instagram and that was it. And then along the way, like you said, start asking the market what they want.
I put out polls all the time, and that's my market research. The people on Instagram are my people that are buying my programs and wanting to do one-on-one coaching, coming into my community. Whichever means you've got right now, ask questions, ask polls, and whatever they say, awesome. You then use that. Like, for example, I did, I want to bring back my daily and weekly vlogs. And I was like, I don't know if I should do it daily or weekly. Put it up. 90% said weekly. Sweet. Am I going to do them daily? Probably not, because they said they want it weekly, and it's probably better for me as well.
I totally agree with that. And I think as well, it's super important. I sort of would love to steer the conversation towards like being real and authentic, because especially when you are showing up online and potentially putting feelers out for what you do want to create, you need to make sure that you are showing up as like someone who you truly feel like you are. Because if you create these programs or offers or whatever you're thinking about doing, making a podcast or whatever, and it's not truly who you are, 1 or 2 years in and be like, oh my God, now I have a business and I don't even like it. And now what am I going to do? Like, I would love for you to talk on a little bit, like your opinion on the topic of being true and authentic and real to yourself.
When I connected to myself and I got clear on accepting who I was and the past that I had lived, I found self-worth through forgiveness, of letting go of the things that I was holding on to or holding anger and all that, to understanding who I was, really going deep into what is my purpose. And there's a process of getting to that. And there's your purpose of being a human, to evolve and to just be human. There's your purpose. If you feel like you don't have one, we all have that one. But your calling, your thing, your shtick, they say, of what you really love doing. There's patterns in your past that show that. Then going into, what do you value? Like when you connect to yourself and you start expressing that, that is your realness. When you go back to your truth of who you are, and that's, I guess our truth is to always just be. When you be without conditions, without all of that, we have a longing to be. Hence why belonging, longing to be, is us wanting to fit in, and we get lost in, I need to do it this way because they'll accept me, or if I share that, maybe I'll fail, maybe they won't accept me, maybe I'll get judged. And it's like, no, when you be, you will find a tribe, you will be accepted. Like, put it this way, I could say that the same thing to 3 different people and have 3 different perceptions of it. We know that, people are going to judge us no matter what. And I think that's a fear that people really do face, of stepping into. I want to be authentic and real, but what are my parents going to think? What are my friends going to think? I had it too. I started the Conscious podcast and everyone was like, what are you doing? Get a job. Like, why are you doing this? Like, even my coaching now, like I've been doing this for 7 months now, and I've had 4 successful launches, heaps of testimonials. It's been incredible. I've now, as of 4 days ago, gone full time into this business, which is,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Which is an amazing feeling. I'm actually, and like I said at the start, it didn't work. It didn't really work. I didn't really like some things. So I shifted and tried different things and I found what I loved. But being authentic throughout that process was not trying to share, like I said in my story, what my ego wants everyone to hear, because it's not relatable. Yes, it might inspire some people, but really, I think after interviewing Dr. John DeMartini, when he was just like, it's not real. Like, you can smell it on people. It's like me saying, Taylor, you're always nice. You're never mean. You're always happy. You're never sad. You go, that's not right. And if I said the opposite, you'd be like, no. And if I said, well, sometimes you're this, sometimes you're that. You go through hard times. You go through ecstasy times, you go through unhappy times, through grief, but you also go through excitement and happiness and all of those things. People relate to that. And I think when we start to show up as authentic as we can, real, we come from a place of being. That's what connects with people. And my thing is connection. I was like, CCC, Carlo, the connection coach. Like, what can I bring to connections? Just my thing. I love helping people connect in with who they are so that they can connect with others and the world through doing what they love. So for me, it was, when you do all these other things, and trust me, when we first had Instagram, how many years ago, it was all the nice things and all of that. And no one ever messaged, like, I didn't get messages then saying, oh my God, this post changed my life. It was just like an emoji and then a post. Like, it was nothing in depth. But when I shared my actual story, like very similar to what I shared at the start of this, I had people reaching out, go, whoa, I didn't know like you felt that way. And I was like, interesting. So many people reach out and say, I could connect to that. I could relate to that. And this is the key thing I found when speaking on stage, which is another amazing thing that happened in the past 12 months, was that as humans, we all feel the same emotions. We just have different situations and different extremities of those emotions. Have I felt very sad and depressive at times? Sure. Have I been clinically diagnosed? No, I don't think I've ever gotten to that point. But that's what I mean. And that's how we connect. So when we're authentic and we be who we are and we actually share that, we connect. Now, this may, the people watching might be going, okay, do I just do that on Instagram and do it like that? And it's like, cool, do that. That's amazing. You're going to connect to a wider audience. But imagine if you could be that real and authentic to your family, your partner, your friends. When I opened up to my mum came to one of my events and heard my story, the whole ego thing and all of that. She was crying. And I looked at her and I'm like, oh my God, she's going to hate me. Like, I shouldn't have said these things. And she's just like, I'm only sad because I didn't know. She's like, I didn't know you felt that way and that I couldn't do anything to help. And that's the thing, even if you're talking with your partner or a friend, but you're real and when you're like, oh, hey, how are you, Taylor? And you're like, yeah, good. And you're underneath, you're really like, I'm breaking down. Like I'm struggling. I'm stressed with everything that's going on in the world. Like it's just making me go crazy. And I don't know what to do. I'm able to connect with you when you be real. So when we do that in business and we be real, like I share on my Instagram all the time, I share great things, don't get me wrong, like amazing things that happen, but I also share that I've been feeling anxious lately with what's been going on. I've been doubting when I went full time in my business, the whole week I was biting my nails and going, oh my God, what if this doesn't work again? But I know that that's natural. I've been feeling fearful. We're human beings. Don't get too good at life and at Instagram that you forget to be human. And that's where that authenticity, being that, stepping into that and being you can connect with so many people no matter what your business is, whether you're a coach or have a product.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that as well, because I feel like in Canberra, because it's full of politicians and public servants and a lot of very wealthy people that think they're better than you, it's just so fake and superficial. And I feel like you don't have that connection that you're talking about. Yep. Whereas when I moved to Bali, and like you go to lunch with people in Bali and you're talking about your life purpose and your passion and like your limiting beliefs and your childhood traumas and like all of like the deepest, most real, authentic stuff. You just like talking about it over lunch. And it's like, I've never had that amount of like in-depth, like soul connecting conversations as like when I moved to Bali. And that's one of the things that I love about it is people are so like open to just really like go to those deep places that other people don't want to go because they're scared or because they're worried about judgment or what their parents might think or what their friends would think or whatever it is, if you actually admit like I'm not okay. And that's just something that I completely love. I would love to move into a little bit more sort of like tactical advice now that the audience can take away. If they are feeling like they're a little bit stuck in terms of connecting with themselves, which is then holding them back from connecting with other people and being authentic online or just authentic and real in real life, how can they start going about connecting with themselves better to then connect with other people?
I think what comes to mind firstly is like knowing who you are and then knowing what you want to do. If you know what you want to do, but then you don't know who you are, like you said, you'll step into things that don't align. And there's nothing wrong with being ambitious and trying things, but would you rather try 100 things and not be aligned to them, or try 3 things that you're really aligned to and you know, do something that you really, really love? Why are we doing what we're doing? Or why do we want to do what we're doing? And I think if you're at the stage where you're like, I don't know who I am, you know, what are your values? Again, what are the things that you love doing? What are the things that you're really good at? What is your vision for your life? What does your ideal day look like? Even if you had to work, if it was something that you loved, what does that look like? What is success to you? What does it look like? What does it feel like? I think a lot of people go, well, success is a business and money and living in Bali and this and that. And it's like, cool, maybe, but how does it feel? Because I've not been there, but kind of been there in that point. But it's like, if you don't feel good about it, it doesn't mean anything. So it's going back to connecting with self-acceptance. What are the things that I don't like about myself? And how can I be grateful for them? What are the things that have happened in my life that I'm holding on to? How can I forgive myself and whether there was a person involved for that, to actually let that go so I can move forward? If we don't forgive and let go and have acceptance for ourselves and others, we can't move forward, because we always move forward with a bag of regret, shame, guilt, all these things. And when we start to go, I am me, I am not my experiences, because we've all had a wild upbringing in one way or the other. We've all had different challenges, some more extreme than others, and that's okay. But what can we pull from that in terms of lessons? How can we let go of that? And then how can we start from now finding those things that we want to do in our life. And I keep going back to those 3 questions because it really helped me of what are you good at? What do you love? So what are the things that you're naturally drawn towards? Like, what do you spend your most money on, spend your most time doing? And then also, what's a solution you can give to the world, and then make a vision from that. If we don't have something to look forward to, we kind of get stuck in that stagnation of, I don't know what's going to happen or whatever. But if I have a vision that excites me, that inspires me, but I know that I accept myself, I'm worthy, and I'm exactly where I'm meant to be right now, along that journey, I'm still going to feel fulfilled, happy. I'm going to feel on purpose. It's not about getting to the destination and being, then I'll be happy, fulfilled, all of that. Even just do this. Write down your ideal day from morning to night and go through each little hour of the day. What would you want to do? And here's the thing, you don't have to wait until then to do it and to feel the things that you're feeling, because I might not live near a beach right now, but I still wake up and do the same morning routine that I would do even if I was. And while I'm doing that, I'm starting to feel good about myself. And what do you know? I might have an opportunity where it's like, oh, I'm working my business, I've got the money. Why don't I move to a beachfront apartment? And then you're doing that. It's along the way. And even if you're in something that you don't like, still start living that day, because I get it. You can't just jump from, this is my full-time job and I kind of need this right now to pay bills. Start living that ideal life before it and after it, and start implementing. Keep doing those things that will make you feel fulfilled now. Other things will start to happen. I didn't build my vision overnight, but then also it keeps evolving and changing as I evolve and change. It just keeps growing. Even some things in my 2-year, 5-year vision, I've brought into my reality now because I started showing up in that way. Again, we go back to, how do we want to feel about ourselves? Then what do we want to do? Because like I said, it's if we don't like who we are and we can't accept and forgive ourselves and others, you're going to be hitting a wall every time you go to do something. And I've seen it happen with my clients that they're like, this is my 6th program I've done of personal development. And I'm like, well, did you ever go through acceptance or forgiveness? And they're like, no, it was all about the strategies, the techniques and the mindset and all that. And I'm like, that's cool. That's all good. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you can't forgive yourself for the thing that you did 10 years ago, or what that person did to you, none of the mindset stuff's going to work.
Yeah, I completely resonate with that. Forgiveness for me was one of the biggest parts of my journey, because I had so much like emotional baggage from like my teenage years growing up, and like my parents getting divorced and all this like crazy stuff happening. And forgiveness really was what set me free, but also redefining what success was to me. Because before, like, well, society teaches you, right? Success is money and cars and houses and like having the perfect family with the white picket fence. But now success for me is happiness. If I feel happy and I get to do what I love every day, then like I'm successful. And it doesn't matter if I don't have as much money as everyone else in the world, because I'm happy. Like, I don't need more money if I'm happy. Like, yes, I'm trying to create more money because I have a vision of wanting to impact the world and help other people and create a life for myself and my family that I'm proud of and that can go on for generations, leave a legacy behind. But at the end of the day, like, if everything went to shit right now in terms of my business, I'm happy within myself. And to me, that is success. That's what's most important, because you can have all the money and the fame and the riches, but if you're not happy, like, what's the point? You're unhappy. Like, you don't like your life. So there's no point in doing it to me. So yeah, I think that was an amazing last point. So thank you for that.
You're
Carlo,
welcome.
if people want to find you to potentially work with you or have a look at your podcast or your programs, where can they find you online?
I think the easiest place is just Instagram. That's where I hang out the most, Carlo_Crillo, and all the links to everything is in there. The Conscious Collective, the Conscious Podcast. Programs are not running at the moment, but they should be in a couple of months when things start opening up. But yeah, drop a line, comment, anything. I reply to everyone. So yeah, we'd love to connect with everyone, especially people from your audience.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I feel like it was just a total vibe. So like,
we could talk for hours.
I know, I literally could talk to you for hours. But anyway, we will not keep the audience that long. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, Carlo. And until the next episode, guys, I'll see you later. Bye. Oh my God. Was that not so good? It was seriously one of my favorite interviews I have ever done. I think Carlo provided so much value. So if you feel the same way that I feel about that episode, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you get notifications as to when I put out more videos like this one. And if you feel as though you need support in implementing any of the things that we spoke about in the episode, or in anything to do with your business, mindset, personal development, please shoot me an email, coachtaylorvictoria@gmail.com, and I will be able to help you out and support you in any way that I can. And until the next episode, I'll see you later. Bye.